American Experience is made possible by the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation to enhance public understanding of the role of technology. The foundation also seeks to portray the lives of the men and women engaged in scientific and technological pursuit.
At the Scotts Company, make gardens more beautiful, lawns greener, trees taller. If there's a better business to be in, please let us know.
Throughout history, ordinary people have considered it their responsibility to do something extraordinary. Liberty Mutual, proud sponsor of American Experience.
Major funding for this program provided by the National Endowment for the Humanities. Additional funding provided by the Arthur Vining Davis Foundations, American Playhouse, and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and viewers like you. Thank you.
I am PBS.
One last lecture to give before you died, what would it be?
Saturday morning at 10, only on WTTW 11.
When you see that logo, you know what it is. Warner Brothers.
Celebrate 85 years of Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers pictures were ferocious.
More cynical.
Shocking.
It's a mini-series feast for film lovers. You must remember this. The Warner Brothers story.
I remember every detail.
Presented by American Masters.
Coming September 23rd, only to WTTW 11. From the early struggles of migration and settlement to the turbulent times of political unrest,
Chicago citizens didn't know how to handle Puerto Ricans.
Chicago's Puerto Rican community has endured it all. Now, through archival footage and personal interviews, explore the history and experience the rise of the Puerto Rican community in Chicago.
We have a piece of the action that we didn't have before.
Chicago's Puerto Rican Story, coming September 9th to WTTW 11.
The 2008 WTTW Lucky 11 sweepstakes is here. Let Southwest Airlines fly you to Seattle, where you'll escape on a 7-day voyage to Alaska with Princess Cruises. Marvel at the magnificent waterfalls, soaring cliffs, and spectacular views of beautiful Alaska, thanks to our partners at Princess Cruises and Southwest Airlines. Or try your luck at winning the grand prize. Enter today and you might just drive off in a bold new 2009 Subaru Forester 2.5X. Learn how by visiting WTTW.com/sweepstakes or calling 773-509-1111 extension 2 today.
I think that Frontline is the single best television series on television today, and when I watch Frontline, I feel proud that I am not only an American, but that I've been involved all of my professional life with PBS. Hi, my name is Ken Burns, and PBS is my source for Frontline, the best show on television.
For 20 years, Frontline has painted intricate portraits of the presidential candidates. In 2008, this historic race, it is more important than ever to know how they think, what makes them tick, and what they really believe.
Democracy is coming to the USA.
Before the vote, the choice, 2008. Coming this fall to Frontline.
Hi, Chicago. You're watching WTTW.
From long commutes to long hours on the job to being chained to the office by your laptop or BlackBerry, stress has become the norm for American workers. And new studies show a third of us are chronically overworked.
Now more companies and more employees are trying to restore the delicate balance between a successful career and a successful personal life.
Tonight, we look at how firms are trying to combat stress and boost productivity with innovative schedules and perks like on-site daycare, yoga classes, even putting a little play into your day.
So stay tuned for Working for Balance, a nightly business report special edition.
Nightly Business Report is made possible by...
Well, it might surprise a lot of people that ExxonMobil would be interested in lithium-ion battery technology applied to hybrid electric vehicles. Our new battery separator film is a true breakthrough that's going to enable the deployment of more hybrid vehicles faster. This means a tremendous reduction in greenhouse gases, the equivalent of removing millions of cars from the road. I think this is the most important project that I've worked on in my career.
Franklin Templeton Investments, providing a unique perspective through the specialized investment expertise of Franklin Templeton Mutual Series and Fiduciary Trust. Franklin Templeton Investments, gain from our perspective.
This program is made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. With the markets closed for the Labor Day holiday, we're taking a look at the role that work plays in people's lives with our special edition, Working for Balance.
There are about 155 million people working in the U.S., and almost a third of them work more than 40 hours a week.
Between 24/7 access to email and phone calls from the office, putting in a few extra hours at work, and making time for family, there never seem to be enough hours in a day.
It's difficult to juggle all the aspects of your life and give enough attention to each. The stress that results is costing employers plenty, over $300 billion a year. But as Erica Miller reports, some companies are finding unique ways to buck that trend.
Stay static for a moment, take a few breaths here, and just connect to right now.
Maybe it's the people doing yoga in a conference room during the workday.
How you play will kind of determine how interested you are in doing that or not.
Or the workers playing board games in another. Come to the Motley Fool offices in Alexandria, Virginia, and you'll notice immediately the work environment is unusual. The media company, best known for its online financial website, encourages staff to take frequent breaks, whether to play ping pong or video games, shoot hoops, or get a massage. The company also gives workers unlimited paid sick days, as well as unlimited paid vacation days, provided they clear it with their managers. The company deters abuse of those policies by doing performance reviews 3 times a year. In the firm's Hawaiian-themed meeting area, CEO Tom Gardner explains that all this goofing off is part of a well-thought-out business strategy to reduce stress, boost productivity, and keep turnover to next to nothing.
When you give people the flexibility, you give them an opportunity to really love the place that they work, and when they start loving where they work, they start performing better. It's actually a very economic decision on our part. We've thought through all of the implications of what we're doing in developing our culture, and they have economic underpinnings to them.
You probably think it's expensive for Motley Fool to offer employees all these perks, but the company says its benefit costs are leaner than most. Just 25% of workers' salary versus an average of 33% for similarly sized companies.
The company credits its anti-stress culture with keeping down medical costs.
Last year, our health premiums were down 8%. So our insurance costs actually went down last year in an environment where the average company is paying 10 to 15% more.
Analyst Tim Hansen says the Playroom and company-sponsored basketball league do more than relieve stress. They encourage teamwork and the exchange of ideas.
We run a gym every Thursday night. We play outside on Mondays, and that's great just because it's nice to get outside with people from work in a non-work environment. You know, you make a lot of friends. We've got a real collegial atmosphere around here, and I think that's really an important part of it.
And don't be fooled. Online managing editor Luann DeCosmo says she and her colleagues work every bit as hard as they play.
We definitely are a performance-based culture, but we're not a clock-based culture, I would say. For us, it's more about the quality of the work being done.
The toll of excessive stress on the body has been well documented, including stomach problems, high blood pressure, and headaches. Columbia University psychiatrist Harold Pincus says the psychological effects can be equally as serious.
It affects their daily functioning.
If you're under tremendous amounts of stress, it affects your sleep, it affects your ability to concentrate, it affects your ability to interact with colleagues and family, it makes you more irritable.
The American Institute of Stress estimates worker stress costs U.S. businesses $300 billion a year due to factors like medical costs, turnover, and absenteeism. To help reduce stress levels, Kathleen Hall of the Stress Institute recommends that workers try to get more exercise and improve their diet. She also suggests taking mental breaks, like playing online board games and puzzles.
We're seeing that there are simpler, easier ways to de-stress yourself. You can play for 5 minutes, and it actually restabilizes the brain. It changes you. It reduces your stress. You get more creative and more productive.
A certain amount of stress in life is unavoidable and not necessarily a bad thing. It keeps life from becoming dull. The challenge in today's fast-paced world is to make stress work for you instead of against you. Erica Miller, Nightly Business Report, Alexandria, Virginia.
How would you like to work in a place where there are no schedules, no mandatory meetings, and you have the freedom to do whatever you want, whenever you want, as long as you get your work done? Well, that's the policy at Best Buy, thanks to the pioneering work of Callie Ressler and Jody Thompson, former employees of the consumer electronics firm. They created a workplace culture called Results-Only Work Environment, or ROWE, and detailed the concept in their book titled Why Work Sucks and How to Fix It. When I met with them, I began by asking Callie why companies should adopt this revolutionary organization model.
The biggest reason that companies should implement a results-only work environment today is for increased productivity. If you're looking to get the most out of your employees, a results-only work environment has been shown to increase productivity in a team on average 41%.
But Jody, how does work really get done if people are coming in at different times of the day, meetings are optional, and you can take vacation whenever you feel like it? It sounds pretty chaotic.
It does sound chaotic, but it's actually a new order. People are focused on getting the work done, and they're doing it from wherever they need to do it, whether it be in a coffee shop, in the office, wherever. And if you look at Gen Y, they're doing work all the time, texting, IMing. They're already collaborating, and they don't need to go into the office.
So, Callie, what do you say is the hardest part of making the transition from a traditional workplace environment to something like what you're proposing?
The hardest part about results-only work environment is that it's focused on results, on the work, not focused on face time or physical presence. Today we live under this assumption that physical presence equates to productivity, when in fact that's not the case at all. So the hardest thing is for managers to understand that having an employee physically present in a cube doesn't mean they're working at all.
Jody, what's the best part?
The best part is really the liberation people feel for finally being treated like adults in the work environment, being able to make those decisions about how they spend their time and having control over that without being judged. It's liberating.
Callie, it sounds like employees love this idea, but managers are frustrated, would be frustrated by it. What's the feedback you're getting?
You're exactly right. Employees do love this idea. They see it as an opportunity to finally live the lives that they wanted to live. Managers, on the other hand, are wary. They're anxious about what this environment will bring because they are used to having their employees at their beck and call. They're used to monitoring the hallways and expecting that they can just walk out of their office and have someone there to answer their question right away.
What comes to my mind is that this can't work for every single company. One size does not fit all. Maybe good for small businesses, not so good for big companies. What's been your experience?
Well, actually, Best Buy, which is a Fortune 100 company, has over 3,000 employees working in a results-only work environment. If you work in an office, whether it's small or large or medium or anywhere in the world, a results-only work environment will work for you.
If a company wants to adopt this, or if some employees want to propose it, what's the first step?
For an employee, the first step toward a results-only work environment would be to find one leader, just one leader in your company that is progressive, forward-thinking, that you can get on board with this. Don't try to spread it to all the leadership at once, because that won't happen. If you are a manager and you want to start taking some steps toward being a ROWE, you can stop rewarding time. Stop rewarding long hours and working weekends, and just start focusing on the good work that your employees are doing.
Jody, how long does it take for a company to get comfortable with this change?
It takes about 6 to 9 months, and sometimes.
That's all?
Well, yes, sometimes up to a year because you're really shifting your paradigm. One of the main things that has to happen is removing sludge from the work environment. It's that toxic language that judges how people are spending their time. Like, boy, I wish I could leave at 4 o'clock every day, or I wish I could come in late. I wish I had a kid that I had to take to daycare. Banker's hours, it's that stuff that we say to people that's judging not the work, but how they're spending time, and removing that is amazing.
Callie, it would seem to me that at a time when the U.S. is trying to be competitive with countries like China, where workers are so hardworking and disciplined, that maybe the U.S. cannot afford to go soft. What do you think?
We think that the U.S., if more companies instituted a results-only work environment, would not be going soft, but would instead be showing the rest of the world we're here to focus on results.
You agree with that, Jody?
Absolutely. We have to stop putting in time and actually focus on work. That's what's important.
Jody, Callie, thank you so much for your time. It's been fascinating talking with you.
Thank you.
For many people, BlackBerries and similar email devices are a godsend, letting them stay in touch with the office from almost any location worldwide. But for some people, that constant connection and availability is taking a toll on their personal lives. And as Erica Miller reports, that's sparking a BlackBerry backlash.
Go almost anywhere these days and you'll probably see someone using a BlackBerry. There are currently over 16 million users worldwide, more than double the number of subscribers 2 years ago. These and other handheld devices have become indispensable work tools, giving users the flexibility to take the office with them wherever they go. But there's a downside to blurring the lines between work and personal time.
Getting away sometimes with personal time with family and significant ones. So my wife tells me that sometimes when I'm having dinner, I need to put the thing down.
It's a little bit of expectation. I sent you an email on a Saturday afternoon, how come you didn't respond? That sort of thing.
It's at my bedside. I'm totally, and I admit it, I'm addicted to the BlackBerry.
She's not the only one. That's why the devices have been nicknamed crackberries. Psychologist Patricia Farrell also warns BlackBerries can increase stress and anxiety levels.
You're sitting enjoying some activity, and suddenly the alarm goes off. You are going to jump, I have to take that. But even if the alarm doesn't go off, what you're going to do is you're going to be anticipating it.
Accounting giant PricewaterhouseCoopers is one firm trying to discourage a 24/7 workplace. When workers log on to the company's computer network over the weekend, they see a pop-up message asking them to consider sending emails the next business day. Carrie Quinn, a partner at the firm, says that simple reminder has had a big impact on her and others.
I've seen a significant decline in email in the off hours or the weekends. So I think it's definitely something that is becoming common within the culture of the firm, and that people are really taking it seriously, that we all need downtime.
Dennis Nally, chairman of the accounting firm, says the pop-up is part of a bigger business strategy to encourage work-life balance.
We have now tracked this very clearly. It costs us about 150% of an individual's compensation to replace that individual if he or she leaves the organization. So the business imperative as to why you want to get this right, the business case, is very clear to us.
There may also be legal reasons companies should limit after-hours BlackBerry use. Attorney Glenn Smith believes certain workers, typically rank-and-file employees, may be entitled to overtime pay for responding to work emails after their shift ends.
I think it's the next generation wage hour lawsuit that you're going to be seeing, and it's not just limited to BlackBerries. It's, what are people doing remotely that might be after hours work? How are they spending their time? Are they actually engaging in gainful employment after hours and not recording it or not being paid for it?
Smith recommends employers do what his firm did and protect themselves by adopting an explicit BlackBerry use policy, outlining what is permitted and what is not. What is clear is that for better or for worse, mobile technology is here to stay. NYU sociology professor Kathleen Gerson believes we're in the midst of a major social transformation. She points out that before the Industrial Revolution, home and work were very much intertwined, very similar to the way it is today.
What these new technologies are now doing is, in a sense, taking us back to the future. We're now entering a whole new period in which it's going to be more and more difficult to figure out when we're at home, when we're at the workplace, how we separate out the uses of our time.
Some people think the U.S. needs a worker bill of rights, guaranteeing some freedom from the office. Others would like to see something less formal, like an evolution of corporate etiquette that discourages the sending of work emails after hours. Erica Miller, Nightly Business Report, New York.
While the U.S. may be the leader in many business areas, it's alone among the world's industrialized nations in not requiring employers to provide paid maternity leave and paid sick days. But as Erica Miller reports, some companies have discovered that offering family-friendly benefits makes good business sense.
Like many parents, Sabine Salandi found it difficult to balance work and family responsibilities after she gave birth to her daughter last year. She left her job as a policy analyst 4 months ago and now cares for 17-month-old Elise at home. A big issue was not being permitted to work a more flexible schedule.
I was allowed to work home one day on Fridays, but that was not enough. I was exhausted from the commute. I'm tired and cranky, and I couldn't concentrate on motherhood.
Many labor advocates say it is harder to be a working parent in the United States than it is in most other high-income countries. For example, most European nations grant workers the right to work part-time, although employers can typically challenge that arrangement. And outside the U.S., nearly all affluent countries give workers the right to paid parental leave. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, nearly half of U.S. private sector workers do not get any paid sick days. Heidi Shearholtz at the Economic Policy Institute says the lack of a national sick leave policy is what really makes the U.S. family unfriendly.
145 countries around the globe offer some kind of paid leave, including all industrialized nations, and over 100 other countries provide a month or more of paid sick leave. So we really are in this remarkably unique position.
The U.S. does have the Family and Medical Leave Act, which covers serious illness and pregnancy. It requires companies to grant employees 12 weeks of unpaid leave, and it does not apply to all companies. The U.S. is also the only high-income country that does not mandate any paid vacation days or any paid national holidays. The average U.S. worker in the private sector gets a total of 15 paid days off, half of what French workers get. There are many theories as to why the U.S. lags in these areas. One is that Americans generally prefer less government involvement in their personal lives, supporting free market employment principles instead. Political science and sociology professor Janet Gornick also says many Americans view long work hours as a badge of honor.
Americans work the longest hours of almost any industrialized country, nearly 2,000 hours a year. So when we talk about measures to shorten people's work hours or to give them the rights to shorter schedules, some people think that's sort of un-American.
However, some labor analysts, like James Shirk of the Heritage Foundation, oppose government-mandated benefits. He says minimally regulated labor markets are a key reason the U.S. is one of the richest, most productive countries in the world. He also believes leave laws, whether paid or unpaid, are bad for most workers.
All employers care about is the total compensation they pay to their workers. They don't care about what form that takes. If you have the government requiring that they get more paid leave, they'll get more paid leave. But they're going to have less cash wages, or they'll have less retirement benefits, or the labor costs will otherwise be brought down.
Many companies choose to offer family-friendly benefits even though they're not required by federal law to do so. They say it helps attract and retain workers in a competitive labor environment. A flexible work arrangement helped IBM keep software architect Kate Crawford after she moved to New Hampshire for quality of life reasons 3 years ago. Since then, she has been commuting to this New York office a few times a month.
Balance is a time and equilibrium thing, so there are times when you would look at things I'm doing and say, no, you're working all the time and it's not balanced. And there are times when you look at what I'm doing and say, when are you getting work done? But I think IBM and myself and my family have achieved that work-life balance as best we can.
Randy McDonald, head of IBM's Human Resources Department, says encouraging schedule flexibility also boosts employee morale and job performance.
People recognize that they can't do the things that they need to do in a normal traditional work setting, but we give them something unique. Their satisfaction goes up. People feel more productive.
Sabine Salandi hopes to eventually find a productive and satisfying work-from-home position. But for now, she has found one benefit to not working, spending quality time with her daughter. Erica Miller, Nightly Business Report, Teaneck, New Jersey.
Work-life balance is a relatively new concept in Japan. The rise of the career woman and the desire of younger Japanese, both male and female, to have some personal time of their own run counter to the ingrained mindset that values long hours at the office. NBR's Lucy Kraft reports from Tokyo on how some Japanese firms are embracing work-life balance.
Endlessly self-sacrificing, slaving corporate warriors are the heroes behind Japan's post-war economic miracle. But 60 years on, the legends have become a liability. Japan has declared war on workaholism. Fighting workaholism has become a national imperative, in part because scenes like this are becoming all too rare. Overwork is causing underpopulation, says consultant Joanna Park.
Many husbands don't get home till, let's say, 10 or 11 p.m. or many times after midnight. So wife has to do everything. If she is working, she has to work, she has to do the housework and taking care of the kid all by herself. And we see a lot of women see that reality and realize that if I get married and have kids, I have to do that. And they just don't want to do it.
And for the world's fastest aging society, the baby deficit spells fiscal disaster.
With that birth rate, Japan cannot maintain the social benefits and pension plans as government promised.
Workaholic habits die hard in Japan, and burning the midnight oil remains common here. But a handful of Japanese companies are trying to get their workers to stop and smell the flowers. Fast Retailing, which runs the Uniqlo apparel chain, began experimenting with work-life balance programs 3 years ago, says Sayako Kaneko, who's in charge of employee relations.
Giving our employees more time off means they can spend more time with family and on self-improvement. That makes them healthier and more creative, which in turn makes them more efficient and improves the quality of their work.
Worried about its global image and anxious to attract and keep talented employees, the company stopped requiring store managers to work 10-hour days. Now women run about a fifth of their stores in a country where management roles usually go to men. But women aren't the only beneficiaries of Fast Retailing's anti-overtime policy. Toru Iwaizumi splits childcare duties with his wife, also a Fast Retailing employee.
I've had to become more systematic. Everyone on my team has become more ruthless about deciding what's essential to our jobs and what isn't. I think that's a good thing.
To slash overtime, meetings have been sped up by requiring workers to stand instead of sit. And for most employees, desks are history. Instead, workers are assigned just a cell phone and a portable computer. Doing without permanent desks, the thinking goes, cuts clutter, literally and figuratively. Finally, at headquarters, it's lights out at 7. Unless permission is granted in advance, even laggards are kicked out by dinner time.
We don't have proof that cutting overtime helps the bottom line, but the fact is our revenues are growing and overtime has been drastically reduced, so our campaign has yielded results.
Fast Retailing's progressive workplace is still unusual for Japan, but with workaholism taking a severe toll on Japanese society, experts say other Japanese corporations have little choice but to follow suit. Lucy Kraft, Nightly Business Report, Tokyo.
Joining us now, NBR correspondent Erica Miller, who did the majority of reporting on this special edition. Erica, you've told us some really fascinating stories. As you sit back, what are your conclusions about work-life balance?
Well, one conclusion I would have to say is this is a nearly universal problem that working parents are dealing with. And I don't just mean working moms. Nearly everyone is struggling with how to balance family and work responsibilities. I would also say we tend to have a two-tier system in this nation. Knowledge workers, people with high skills, they have pretty good benefits. On the other hand, lower skill, lower wage workers, for many of them, it's a case of if you don't work, you don't get paid, and you might even lose your job.
Now, you're juggling a lot of things in your life between work and home. What did you learn that you can use in your own life?
Well, what I'm trying to do now is I go home, I walk through the door, click, I turn off my iPhone and I try as best I can not to take a peek at it until the kids go to sleep.
That's a great idea. Erica, thanks a lot. Great job.
Thank you, Susie.
We've been speaking with NPR correspondent Erica Miller.
Thanks for joining us for this special edition of Nightly Business Report. To learn more about the stories in tonight's broadcast, to watch our streaming video, and to take part in our daily blog, go to Nightly Business Report on pbs.org. You can also email us at nbr@pbs.org.
And that's Nightly Business Report for Monday, September 1st, Labor Day. I'm Susie Garab. Good night, everyone, and good night to you, Paul.
And to you as well, Susie. I'm Paul Kangas, wishing all of you the best of goodbye.
Nightly Business Report is made possible by
Franklin Templeton Investments. Our unique perspective helps us see domestic and international markets in a different light. Franklin Templeton Investments. Gain from our perspective.
And by ExxonMobil. This program was made possible by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you. You may order a home video copy of tonight's special NPR program by calling 1-800-535-5864. Please specify the DVD or VHS format.
Trusted, in-depth, independent. This is PBS.
One last lecture to give before you died, what would it be?
Saturday morning at 10, only on WTTW 11.
For 20 years, Frontline has painted intricate portraits of the presidential candidates. In 2008, this historic race, it is more important than ever to know how they think, what makes them tick, and what they really believe.
Democracy is coming to the USA.
Before the vote, the choice. 2008. Coming this fall to Frontline.
Hi, I'm Jeffrey Baer. In February 2009, television broadcasting is going to change. It's going to get a lot better. It'll be delivered to your house with a digital signal. I know. What does that mean to you? Well, if you have a TV set that gets its picture with these or with a rooftop antenna, you'll have to get a converter box, like this one, that connects to your antenna. To help you with the cost of the box, the government is offering 2 $40 coupons to each household. Now remember, it's only if you receive your picture with these or with a rooftop antenna. For information on getting these coupons and about getting your TV ready for this February 2009 transition, go to WTTW.com/February 2009 or call 1-888-DTV-2009.
The 2008 WTTW Lucky 11 Sweepstakes is here. Win a trip to delightful Dublin. Travel on Lufthansa Airlines to Ireland for a stay at the luxurious Conrad Dublin. Experience the best of Dublin. History, museums, golf, stunning landscapes, and more. Try your luck to win our winner's choice trip to Italy. You and your lucky companion can select your business class tickets to any city in Italy Lufthansa flies to. Explore historic Rome or the charming countryside. Or you might just be lucky and win the shopping spree at Oscar Isbarian Rugs. The expert staff will guide you through a global tour of elegant carpets. You could win, but only if you visit WTTW.com/sweepstakes or call 773-509-1111 extension 2 today.
All your uncles and aunts and your ma and pa and your paisani.
PBS brings you back with your favorite Italian singers and favorite Italian songs.
Saturday at 5, only on WTTW 11.
You're watching WTTW.